I'm personal trainer Jesse Bird with the PSP team over at Fort Wayne Cold Lake, and today is our Fit Over 50 workout of the day. So I'm going to be teaching our class today. For today's workout, all you're going to need is some comfortable clothing. Make sure you have some comfortable shoes, those are very important. A bottle of water, and of course your favorite music to play alongside. So for today's video, I'm going to explain the workout. If you just want to get right to it, check out the comments below. It's written there in detail. Otherwise, stick around here. I'm going to just explain every little bit. We're going to talk about the exercises in more detail, and this way I can give you some more info on form and everything like that. Things that you want to run through your head as you're lifting. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. You're going to start off with a 5-minute warm-up. So for this warm-up, you're going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and you're going to start off marching in place. With your marching, you want to try to get those arms swinging, bringing those knees up, and you want to go till you get 10 on each leg, so count those out. After that, you're going to do a lateral step. So we're going to go out to one side, stay right there, come on back to neutral, back to now out to the other side, and then back to neutral. For this one again, 10 on each side. Nice and simple, 10, 10. For a lot of these, they're going to be like that, just to make it nice and easy. Okay, so next we're going to do an overhead press with just our arms. So with our arms, we're going to squeeze our fists as tight as we can. I'll show you a side view real quick. As you can see, my arms are just out in front of me. They're not directly at my sides, right out in front of me. And at the top, you want to go right above the head. Very important that we're squeezing our fists as tight as we can. Try to engage those triceps as well and the shoulders. Imagine all those muscles working together to do their job. Having a tight grip as well. This is important to practice because it can help with symptoms of arthritis. So if you live with that kind of discomfort, that can be huge. That can it's something you can do every day. Okay, next up we are going to do something similar, bicep curls with just our arms. So we're going to squeeze those fists as tight as we can. We're going to go down. The only movement that we want is right here in the elbows. So go down and curling up. Just to really wake up those muscles, get them ready for our exercise. Next up, we're going to do a standing band press. So I've got my band right over here. And what we're going to do is put this band right behind our back. Now, if your resistance band looks a little different, if it's more of a tube, that's okay. Those will still work for this whole exercise and this whole workout. So we're taking one step forward, 1 foot back. We're going to do banded chest presses. Try to keep those arms right at about shoulder length, keeping the core tight, breathing in as we go down and breathing out as we press forward. Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, after you do 10 of those, we're going to have a seat in our chair, and we're going to do low rows. So by putting the band on the bottom of our feet, like so, we're just going to grab onto the sides, and we're going to pull right next to ourselves. Just like that. Go for 10 of those. And we have one last one here. And those are sit-to-stands. So we're still using our chair. We'll have a seat on the end of it. It is a good idea if you can have your chair up against a wall. I'm just in the middle of the room right now for teaching purposes, so at home, make sure you have your chair against the wall. You're gonna have your arms crossed like so, coming up, and at the top, really squeeze the glutes. Also, I don't know if you heard, but my knees clicked a little bit as I came up. That's totally okay. Those are just normal noises that joints make, releasing gases and such. So you're gonna come back down, back up, squeezing the glutes. And just to talk about the knees one more time, as long as there's no pain. If you ever have any pain, then pull back. Exercise should not hurt. Come back down. Okay. Now, as I said, for those you're going to do 5. Depending on where your timer is, you might have maybe a minute left or so. Just repeat the list. Keep going throughout. If some of them feel like you're not using those muscles very often, you want to spend a little more time on there, doing like the overhead press, for example, or the bicep curls, listen to your body and do what's best for you. Okay, next up, we're going to get to the work phase. So you're going to do our standing banded chest press. Oh, that's a mouthful. The one that we just did for our warm-up. We're going to use that for our first set as well. So just like I said, You're gonna have that band up at the top, pressing forward, trying to keep those arms as steady as you can and keeping the core as tight as you can. Everything else, exact same. You're gonna do that one, rest for 30 seconds, have a little bit of water, and then repeat that set one more time. Next up, we're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna do our low rows, just like we practiced already. So with our chair sitting there, you're gonna have a seat. I'll just show you to remind it. We're gonna pull back, trying to sit up straight and tall, keeping the core tight, keeping everything sturdy. Breathing in as our hands go forward, and breathing out as our hands come back. Same thing with those. You're gonna do 2 sets total, rest for 30 seconds in between. Okay, now for our third exercise, again, we're gonna keep it simple. Let's do what we did in the warm-up. We're gonna work on the legs. We're gonna do some sit-to-stands. So just like I was doing before, remember, pretend that I have the chair up against the wall. Make sure you have your chair up against the wall. And instead of 5 here, we're gonna bring it up to, we're gonna aim for 10, but if you can't quite get 10, if you can only get 5 or 6, get as many as you can. Same rules apply. We're trying to keep our back straight, keeping our core tight. We're gonna come up, we're gonna squeeze the glutes. The knees might click a little bit, but that's okay, there's no pain. And then we're gonna come back down and back up. Perfect. Same thing there. 2 sets of those, 30 seconds in between. Be sure to have some water in between. Make sure your music's still going too, because the workout's almost done. Next up, we're gonna work on a little bit of our mobility. So there's something important in exercise that a lot of us trainers talk about, and that's hinging at the hip, or hip hinging. And what that means is really focusing on the hip joint and allowing it to do its job. Why this is important is because it allows us to keep our back straight during exercise and during everyday life, which means that it can lead to much less injury down the line. Okay, so here, I'm going to show you a little bit more about what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're not going to use any weights or anything for this one. We're just going to focus on, again, the hip joint and letting it do its job. So, while standing here, we're going to have our hands out. We're going to keep our back straight. We're going to send those hips back, and I'm not bending at the knees here. I'm hinging at the hips. So it's this angle right here that's decreasing while still keeping my back straight. We don't want to let the back go rounding like that. We want to make sure that we keep everything straight. And you don't need to go too far down with this one either. Just about your knuckles to the knees. So coming down, coming back up, and squeezing those glutes. Good stuff. And just like our last ones, we're going to do 10 of those, rest for 30 seconds in between. Okay, we have our last one of the day, and this is our core. So we're going to do dead bugs for our last one today. So if you have any issues getting up off the ground, this one is an important one to, well, first off, that's something that you should definitely address. We should be able to get up and off the ground comfortably, or as comfortably as we can. So it's something that you should be able to practice. If you do need a chair beside you to get up and down, that's okay. So we're doing this one on the ground. I'm just gonna stand up and show you right here with the camera to make it a little easier. So just picture my back is on the ground. What I'm gonna do is have my arms bent at 90 degrees. I'm also gonna have my legs bent at 90 degrees. And, and from here, I'm going to do I'm going to bring my thumb to the ground above me, and then also my heel to the ground below me on opposite sides. So this is what that looks like. Whoa. This is what that looks like. So going out, touching the thumb to the ground and the heel to the ground, keeping the core tight, and then coming back in to the middle. Now for this one, the body's going to want to use a lot of momentum. It's going to want to swing the arms to make it easy. Don't do that. Go as slow and controlled as you can. This one is a bit of a mind over matter one, but it can be very effective without using any equipment at all. Try to focus on the areas where maybe your arms are moving a little bit faster. Like if you're trying to go slow and then you notice, oh, hey, my arm, as I get closer to the floor, it wants to go much quicker than I want it to. It could be that those muscles are just not as strong as the ones around it. So it's a good way to identify something that you can work on. All right, so for that one, you're gonna do 10 on each side. Again, rest for 30, repeat for 2 sets. Look at that, we're just about done. Okay, and then your last thing for today is gonna be your cool down. Very important, you don't ever wanna skip your cool down. We're gonna start off with a seated hamstring stretch. So, I'm gonna show you on the chair here. So while I'm sitting on the end of the chair, I'll start off with my one leg. I'm gonna extend that out in front. I'm gonna sit up straight and tall, and from here, so I can put my hands either tabletop or on my hips, I'm gonna lean forward, feeling a nice stretch in the back of the leg. Now for me, I really like to just turn my foot a little bit as well to really increase that stretch. Oh, excellent. So we're going to do that for 30 seconds on each side. You can do either 1 set or 2 if that feels better for you. Sometimes it's a little bit better of an idea to really take it slow and really enjoy the stretching. Watch a show or listen to some music while you're doing it. It can really help with stiffness and just general pain. Next, we're going to do another stretch on the chair. So while we're seated, we're going to cross one leg over the other, sit up straight and tall, and then we're going to lean forward. This one you're going to feel right in the side of the glute. It doesn't take a whole lot to feel. If you are having a hard time feeling it though, with that other hand, you can just gently guide that knee down to the ground. But again, it will not take much. So 30 seconds on each side. Both of these stretches are also very good for back pain. So if you have back pain, keep them in mind. And they can be done every single day. Okay, on our last stretch of the day is a perfect one. This one I just call a good morning chest stretch. It's very nice in the morning. What we're going to do is take our hands out to the side, bring them in together so that we interlock them and put them right behind our head. Now from here, we're going to do 2 movements. We're going to push back into our hands with our head and at the same time open up at the elbows. Really feeling that stretch here up in the upper part of the chest. Oh, going as wide as we can. Just straight from the side here. Pushing back. Oh, all right. And same thing for that one. 30 seconds. Yeah, and then rest a little bit. Repeat once or twice. Okay, well, thank you so much for checking this out. I hope you have a great workout, and I'll see you in the next one.